The initial shock was just the beginning. The more I looked, the worse it got. It wasn't just a few houses encroaching on my property line. It was an entire, meticulously planned community. 96 homes, to be exact. All sitting on land that had been in my family for generations. Land that was undeniably, legally mine. My first attempts to reason with the HOA were met with a wall of indifference. I'd show up to their pristine cookie-cutter office, clutching my land deeds, my voice shaking with a mix of anger and disbelief. The board members, a panel of perfectly manicured suburbanites, would just smile politely. They'd glance at my documents, their eyes glazing over before dismissing my claims with a wave of the hand. "We'll look into it," they'd say, a phrase I quickly learned was their code for go away and don't bother us. But I wasn't going away. This wasn't just about property. It was about principle. It was about my family's legacy. While they continued to pour concrete and lay down manicured lawns, I started my own kind of construction. I built a case, brick by brick. My days became a blur of research. I spent hours hunched over dusty archives in the county records office, my fingers tracing the faint lines of old maps and property surveys. Each document was a piece of the puzzle, a confirmation of what I already knew. The original land grant. The deed transfers through the decades. Every single piece of paper screamed one thing: this land was mine. I hired a land surveyor, a seasoned pro who'd seen his fair share of boundary disputes. He used state-of-the-art GPS equipment, cross-referencing it with the old markers we managed to uncover, half buried under decades of soil and leaves. His final report was unequivocal. The development wasn't just on my land, it swallowed a huge portion of it. To truly grasp the scale, I bought a drone. The view from above was staggering. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a hostile takeover. Rows upon rows of identical houses, cul-de-sacs, and freshly paved streets, all sprawling across my heritage. The drone footage was my smoking gun, a clear, undeniable visual record of the trespass. I documented everything. Construction crews working at a frantic pace, new families moving in, kids playing on swing sets in backyards that should have been my open fields. Meanwhile, the HOA was celebrating. They held ribbon-cutting ceremonies, published glossy newsletters boasting of their community expansion, and sold the remaining properties at a premium. They acted as if they owned the world, or at least my part of it. Their confidence was infuriating. They were operating on the assumption that I was just some crackpot they could ignore until I ran out of steam. They underestimated me. I found a lawyer, a sharp, nonsense attorney who specialized in real estate law. The first time we met, I laid out my mountain of evidence on his conference table. The deeds, the surveyor's report, the drone footage, my recorded conversations with the board. He spent a long time looking through everything, his expression growing more and more serious. Finally, he looked up at me and said, "They don't have a leg to stand on." That was the moment the fear began to subside, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. My legal team started digging deeper into the HOA's own records, and what we found was shocking. It wasn't just negligence. It was a pattern of deliberate mismanagement and cutting corners. They had rushed the development, skipping crucial steps in the due diligence process. They relied on outdated, inaccurate surveys and seemingly never bothered to cross-reference them with official county records. Why? To save time and money, of course. The stress was immense. Sleepless nights were spent poring over legal statutes, my mind racing. During the day, I'd drive past the neighborhood, a place that now felt like a monument to their arrogance. Some of the new residents would wave, oblivious. Others, who had heard the rumors, would stare, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and concern. The community was divided. Some saw the HOA as a pillar of the neighborhood. Others saw them for what they were, bullies. My resolve hardened with every dismissive letter from their high-priced lawyers, with every smug look from a board member one passed in town. They were trying to bankrupt me, to wear me down with legal fees and endless delays. They filed motion after motion to dismiss the case, claiming I was harassing them, that my claims were frivolous. But with every motion they filed, we countered with more evidence. We were building an ironclad case. The emotional toll was heavy, not just on me, but on my family. This fight consumed every waking moment. It was a constant, looming shadow over our lives. There were days I wanted to give up, to just sell them the land and walk away. But then I'd think of my grandfather and the pride he had in this land. I'd look at the drone footage of those 96 houses, an entire community built on a foundation of deceit, and I knew I couldn't stop. This wasn't just my fight anymore. It was a fight for every homeowner who had ever been pushed around by an overzealous HOA. The final court date was set. The stage was prepared for a confrontation that would determine the fate of 96 homes and the future of my family's legacy. The HOA thought they were untouchable. They were about to find out just how wrong they were. The battle was far from over, but the war was just beginning. Thanks for watching. If you want to see how this all ends, make sure you resubscribed and have notifications turned on for part 3. You won't want to miss it.